news. Multiple reports state that the European Union is considering a range of sanctions against Israel over its military operations in Gaza. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas is expected to unveil an options paper next week, outlining possible measures including sanctions on Israeli officials, a partial suspension of the EU-Israel Association Agreement, trade restrictions, and even an arms embargo. The document will be presented to EU ambassadors, with foreign ministers set to debate the options on July 15th. The same day, Israel is expected to report on humanitarian improvements in Gaza. Any move to suspend the association agreement would require unanimous backing from all EU members, making it unlikely. The EU's internal review has already found signs of human rights breaches by Israel, but deep divisions among member states may mean only limited sanctions on individuals moving forward. Now we move on to our next news. Israel has condemned the attacks on a synagogue and an Israeli restaurant in Melbourne as acts of anti-Semitic terrorism. The Israeli government is calling on Australian authorities to bring the perpetrators to justice. Deputy Foreign Minister Sharon Haskell condemned the horrifying attacks on a synagogue and an Israeli business in Melbourne, calling them a shocking reminder of the growing racist anti-Semitic hate crimes in Australia. She further described the targeting of Jewish places of worship and an Israeli restaurant as terrorism aimed at intimidating an entire community simply because their religion and identity. Haskell called for strict action against those inciting hate and violence, warning that weakness and silence only fuel extremism. She asserted that there is no justification for attacks on Jews, Israelis, or any minorities. This attack comes 7 months after a similar incident where another synagogue in Melbourne was targeted, resulting in 1 injury and extensive damage. Victoria Premier has condemned the attack as absolutely appalling, stating that any attack on a place of worship is an act of hate, and an attack on a Jewish place of worship is a clear act of anti-Semitism. Victoria's Police Acting Commander Zorka Dunstan and Melbourne Lord Mayor Nicholas Rees shared their statements. Let's listen in.
I'd like to make it very clear that we do recognise that these crimes are disgusting and abhorrent, but at this stage we are not declaring this a terrorist incident.
These criminal acts against a Melbourne Synagogue and an Israeli business are absolutely shocking, and as Lord Mayor, I condemn them in the strongest possible terms. Every Melburnian has the right to enjoy simple acts like enjoying a meal, visiting your place of worship, without being subject to vile and dangerous attacks.
Now we're joined by Ahmed Fatou. He's a spokesperson for the Fatah movement. Thank you, Ahmed, for staying with us. What does this attack reveal about the state of anti-Semitism and hate crimes in Australia today, as we usually think of Australia being a very peaceful or maybe multicultural country?
Of course, attack against any religious group is extremely disgusting and refused. The Palestinian struggle is against occupation, irrelative to its identity, whether they are Jewish people or non-Jewish people, or even if they were Muslims, it's against an occupation. So people need to realize that, don't relate these attacks of anti-Semitism to the Palestinian cause. That has nothing to do with it, because actually one of among the most prominent advocates for the Palestinian liberation cause are Jewish people, and we have seen that in Washington, London, and even within the Fatah movement, my party. We have Uri Davis, who is a Jewish Israeli who is against Zionism and with the liberation of the Palestinian people, and is part of our party and a senior member actually. So we have to distinguish between the attacks against religion, which is refused, against the law, against our moral ethics against our very ideologies in fighting occupation and persecution. We refuse the persecution against any religious group or any community in this world or any ethnic group. We all call for peace and equality among people, and on top of them, the Palestinian people are suffering for the past 77 years, not enjoying equal rights with Israeli citizens who are unfortunately presenting an apartheid system that distinguish and discriminate against the Palestinian people and the non-Jewish community. So I hope they don't relate these individual attacks against targeting the Jewish people to the Palestinian cause. That has nothing to do with it. I also call for the Australian government to take all the measures to protect all the ethnic and religious group in their country, whether they are Jewish, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, anyone, because freedom of speech and freedom of expression should be respected. And we hope that they also pressure Israel to respect these same principles.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for